Welcome to the Ed Mylett Show. I am so fired up to have this dude right here with me. I've got the great Andy Frisella here with me today. Thanks for being here, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It's already been a great day spending time with you. This is one of the great young American entrepreneurs right here.
Thank you.
And I mean that. And one of the most influential people in the world on social media when it comes to business as well. And we've just been visiting most of the day here. We're in his man cave, by the way. I'm surrounded by 4 GTs and freaking Lamborghinis, and it's just it's very impressive, brother, what you've done here.
Thanks, brother.
Really, really impressive. And this is a good man, too. I've enjoyed the time already today. So I want everybody else to know about you, what I now know about you. And so I want you to hear this story. It's an amazing journey as an entrepreneur. And for many of you, it's going to inspire you, because I know a lot of you are watching this right now and you're struggling where you are in your business. And I want you to know, both he and I, our stories are very, very similar. We've both been where you are, and I think Andy can help you with some insights too. And later in the program, I'm going to get you more access to this guy too, so that he can actually physically help you with your businesses too. So,
cool.
Ready to do this?
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
All right, let's do this. All right, so let's start out for a little bit. I know how you grew up. You were kind of an athlete guy, but you were kind of, did you grow up like wealthy, poor, middle class? How'd you grow up?
I was very fortunate. I grew up a little bit of everything. So.
Okay.
My parents were divorced when I was about 5 years old, and they were both entrepreneurs. My mom owned a VCR repair shop. Like they took people's VCR, and obviously it's not a very lucrative business. My dad owned a pretty large company, an electrical distributor that he started when he was 18 years old by buying the spare parts out of an old guy's garage. He started a business out of that. So my dad became very successful financially, but you would have never know it, and you still wouldn't know it. He's a regular dude. If you saw him walking down the street, he's wearing a Harley Davidson shirt and jean shorts. And you're like, here's this crazy old dude, but he's a really smart guy, and he's been very successful. My mom and stepdad, we grew up, and that's where I lived. We lived on a gravel road in South County here in Missouri. It's a pretty small house.
Like a typical Midwest upbringing.
Yeah, nothing crazy. And they ended up becoming very successful. And then when I say very successful, very, very successful, 9-figure company.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then they ended up losing it all. So they went from very poor to very, very wealthy to very, very poor in a very short amount of time, in a span of about 10 years. And it was extremely valuable upbringing, because I never knew my dad was successful, because he's very modest type guy. He lives in a regular house still to this day. He never drove like crazy cars or had all the what you see on Instagram or any of this stuff. Maybe I'm overcompensating. I don't know.
Dude, you're compensating, because this is unbelievable. Just so you know.
But we grew up in a situation where I was able to experience a lot of things. I was able to see what it was like to be very poor. I was able to observe what it took to become wealthy, and I was able to observe what happens when you don't keep your eye on the ball. And I saw a lot. I saw a 9-figure company go to a 0-figure company within a matter of 18 months.
But you were always around entrepreneurs, though, right? So you knew that.
That's all I ever knew.
Yeah, you and I were talking earlier. We both had baseball card businesses, and we were both started really young. Probably a lot of you have had that bug too, or should have that bug. But so it just blows my mind, especially what's happened to you the last 5 or 7 years. But I think people see the 4 GTs, they see the Lambos, they see this First Form brand you guys have built, which is just unbelievable.
Thank you.
I mean, it really is, man. And I'm proud of you. I love seeing young stud entrepreneurs. But
that means a lot, man. Especially from you.
Thank you, brother. And but you start out, so let's go right to the business part, because this is the part that I think people they've heard some of this but not all of it, and I hope today we're gonna get to some stuff they haven't heard too. But so you start, it's your brother, right? You guys start your first, you do a
Chris, who you met, my business partner, that's not my brother.
Okay.
He's my brother.
Yeah, but
from another mother.
About another mother. Okay.
And then my actual brother works with us too.
Your actual brother works too.
Yes.
Okay. And so how old are you when you open your first store? You open a supplement superstore.
19.
Right?
Yeah.
19
supplement
years
superstore.
Old.
Yeah.
Okay. And how'd that go in the very beginning? I know a little bit of this.
Well, like most of you guys, I wanted to be rich. And I said, I was looking for all these things of how to, you know, become wealthy. And so me and Chris were like, hey, let's start selling vitamins. We both like to work out. It seemed like it made sense, you know? So we decided we were going to start a business.
How'd you get the money to open the first store?
We both painted parking lot stripes at night, and it paid like $20 an hour. And back then, like in 1999, $20 an hour for painting those stripes, dude, that was like $100 an hour. You know what I mean?
So you did that on purpose to accumulate the deposit or whatever to start your first biz, or? Basically,
yeah.
Wow.
And then so we had 12 grand. Nobody would rent to us because we were just kids. We had no credit. So we had to pay our year's rent up front, which was $1,000 a month. So that took up all our capital. Wow. So to finance the build out and then to finance the inventory, we ran it up on credit cards.
Wow, because you couldn't get a loan.
Right.
Crap.
So
so you open the store, you've paid the rent. By the way, I did that too, which is a blessing because it didn't let me back out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing. We had nowhere to live. We didn't have anything. We had to live in the store.
You lived in the store?
Yeah. So we had a couch that we got from my dad, which was a love seat. And then we had a mattress that we got from a Salvation Army that was in the same center, a Salvation Army retail store. And we slept at the back of the store, and we thought it was cool. You know, we thought it was fun. Like we were 19, we had a business, you know.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah, we thought it was cool. Like everybody's like, oh man, that must have sucked. No, honestly, like it was some of the best times.
You know what's funny? Because you and I were walking around here, I was looking at your cars, and we were talking about our lives now and stuff, and like, honestly, I mean, it sounds like I'm going back, like, you know, I'm an old man talking about the old days, but I loved those times.
I did too.
I loved those hard times. I loved the obsession. I loved the struggle with it. So you're living in the store, so that tells me probably you didn't have like a monster first year.
Oh,
like,
no.
How was the
first day, we had, our first day we sold $7.
Yeah, $7.
Our second day we sold $0. Our third day we sold $22. And it went like that for literally years, where we would have days of no sales. We didn't have money to advertise, so the only way we could get people in was literally one at a time, and then help create the word of mouth off of those one-off transactions.
Like, did you make any money the first year?
Oh no, I didn't make any money. It took me the first 3 years. I got zero pay.
Wait, 3 years?
3 years.
So how'd you? I mean, I know you're living there, but how do you eat?
Well, we worked other jobs. So we both bartended at night and worked security at bars at night, and then worked at gyms. So we worked other jobs. So one of us would work at the store, and the other one would go work at the other job and this and that, and then we kind of just pulled the money. And Chris and I are partners on every business that we own still because of this.
He's a good dude. I met him.
Yeah, he's awesome.
You know what? That's a lesson though. Like, so many young people out there that are entrepreneurs is like, what sacrifices are you willing to make? It's almost like the first thing you sacrifice is your dream. So when it's not working, you're broke, you sacrifice your dream. And I worked extra jobs too. It's like, it didn't even occur to you that was a big of a deal. Like, I'm gonna make this thing work.
Yeah, I call it zero option mentality. You know, you should always try to cultivate, like, in that time, I literally had zero options. I didn't have a degree, which, you know, I feel is less important now for people.
Me too.
Yeah, it's less important now. But 15, 20 years ago, it was still a big deal. So I didn't have a degree. I didn't have any place to go work. You know, my dad didn't have his company anymore. I didn't have a backup plan. I had to make it work, or otherwise I was going to be digging ditches. And I didn't want to dig ditches. You know, and if you're out there digging ditches, I feel your pain because I've done that before. You know, and if I had to do it, I would do it again. But I don't want to go back. And that's.
You went 3 years no money though.
Yeah.
So were you
the next 7 years, the most I made in a month was $695. So for 10 years, I never made more than $695 in a month.
What?
Yeah.
10 years of doing the business, you're making $700 a month. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The 11th year I made 45 grand. The 12th year I made 180, and then it went up.
Yeah. It's interesting. Most people, their businesses, they make all these deposits. You know, they start, and then they withdraw all of it too soon. They never get to collect.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, Chris and I kind of got in that routine of living below our means.
Me too.
So we were able to continually put money in and put money in and put money in and put money in. There was a number of years where we had employees that made much more money than us. You know, we were paying other people in our company way more than we were paying ourselves. And that's what you have to do. It's what do you want to invest and what are you willing to give? And I agree with you. People want to get paid too soon. They want to live the life too soon.
Way too soon.
You know, and like this is why I stopped posting a lot of my personal, like I used to post all my cars on Instagram. I stopped posting it, and I still post them sometimes.
Me too.
But the reason I stopped was because I started realizing that I'm hurting younger entrepreneurs in a way where they think they need to be living that now, when in reality they should be pulling in the expenses. You know, battening the hatches, so to speak.
Well, here's how true that is. So both of us. So the first thing I asked him, because here's how much I believe that too. It's like all I did when I was young, I sacrificed. By the way, 10 years is awesome because most people don't have that in them. They don't have that sacrifice, work the extra job, sleep in the right.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't either, now that I think about it.
Right.
But the first thing I asked him as I walked in here and I was looking through all these cars, what's the first thing I asked you? I said, do you own these?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I do. I got title to all of them, right? And that's a big deal to me because we both, same model, right? Same struggle, same young, same extra jobs. But what we were both doing, we weren't interested when we were young at looking like we were rich when we weren't. We just stacked it away, stacked it away, stacked it away. You see my houses, my cars, all of them are paid for. My jet paid for. All of them paid for. Same
I'm trying to get on that level, that jet level.
You're on that level. Right? You know you're on that level. So you got the business. It finally turns around. But during that time, I just want people to hear the backstory too. So during that time, you and I were just talking too. He has a real life, like we both have real lives. Stuff happened, right? And you struggle with different things too. But tell him a little bit about, so you're a young dude, you got this business, you're working multiple jobs, you're living at your place of business, right? And probably everyone in your family thinks you're out of your mind.
Oh, dude, yeah. Trust me. My dad was the only person in my life that has never told me. Not the only person that believed in me. He's the only person that never told me I was wrong, like for doing it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and people, and that's why I don't have a lot of sympathy for people when they're like, oh, my so-and-so is telling me this and that. And I said, look, dude, nobody's going to believe in you until you've done something.
That's right.
Have you done anything to make people believe in you? You know, you don't just get people to believe in you. You got to do shit, you know? And you know, that's the way it is. And my dad had done that, so he knew that it could be done.
He knew the grind. And, but 10 years is a long grind. You know what I mean? Like it's totally worth it.
Right.
But like, what do you have? Like I always say this all the time: is your will to win for sale, right?
Yeah.
Like most people can be bought. Like enough failure, they'll buy their dream out. They'll buy them out. They'll quit. You couldn't have been bought all those years. You had no money being made.
No, and I still couldn't. I mean, I've had 9-figure buyout offers on our companies, 3 of them. And I won't do it because I know what we can do. And now, like I said before, my purpose has changed. My purpose isn't now, you know, let's buy all this cool shit and be a baller like it used to be when I was younger. Now it's, I want my guys, I want my team, I want my people to succeed. And I know what we can create on the back end, and so I don't want to sell that out.
Yeah, we both want you to stack a bunch of money away.
Yeah.
We both want you to have great stuff like this and live all that, but we both are just literally talking off camera saying what endures is when you shift from that stuff to wanting to serve other people, because that like never burns out.
And you know what's funny about that too is I've found that when you switch your focus to other people, your income goes up anyway.
Big time.
Yeah.
Right. It actually takes some pressure off you, oddly, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how to explain it, it takes pressure off you. Go back a little bit in the beginning. Just want to talk about this because we were talking about it. I didn't even notice it, but you pointed to your face to me and said, hey, I've had stuff happen, man. Like, not all this was just business grind. Because a lot of you that are watching this too, your business isn't where you'd like it to be maybe, or your life isn't. Like, stuff happens outside of business that can distract us too, right? There's issues with your family, there's health, there's, you know, all kinds of stuff that happens outside your business too. So tell them, how'd you get these scars? What happened?
So when I was in college, like we said, we had to work other jobs while and we were also going to school, by the way, until I did all this. But I was walking home from one of my jobs, and I was walking home with a girl that I was good friends with, and I ended up getting stabbed. Is the long story, the short story of it. I got an altercation. This dude, she was Mexican, and this guy was calling her some racial slurs, and I'm a young testosterone-filled dude. You know, I'm not going to deal with that.
Right.
It's not my personality to deal with that kind of shit anyway.
Yep.
You know, I'm an athlete like you, and you know how athletes are. Like, dude, it's gonna get physical.
Yep, it's about to be physical.
Yeah, and we got in an argument, and I turned my back, and when I turned my back, he stabbed me, and he stabbed me here, and he stabbed me here, and in my back, and I had 160 stitches in my face. Still no feeling in this side of my face at all. The last thing I remember on the way to the hospital was the EMT on the radio saying, I don't know how to stop the bleeding.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna die for sure. Because like, it was like what you see in the movie, like blood was squirting out. Like, and so basically.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that was the easy part of it. The hard part of it was what happened after that. My face was very swollen, it was very deformed. It looks really good now because it's been 15 years since it happened. But I worked retail, and I had people coming in to the retail store every day, and they would do one of two things. They would either look at the floor when they talked to me because they didn't want to stare at my face, or they would say, dude, what happened to your fucking face? And I'm like, I'm getting this all the time, and really, honestly, I would have rather people say that to me than look at the floor. Like, you know how
yes.
When you see someone who's got a handicap or they have a disability, our tendency is to not want to stare, so we overcompensate by looking away.
You're right.
Don't do that, because it makes people feel really shitty. Okay, and I know that from experience. And but anyway, I went through very bad depression. My face was messed up. I was a young man. I thought my life was over. I thought my business wasn't succeeding. I started thinking about no woman's gonna ever want to date me. My life is over type of stuff. And I built it into this big deal. I became very depressed and to a level of suicidal on a regular basis. And I actually was able to come out of that in about 10 minutes time. I was walking through a grocery store, and I was pushing my cart down the aisle, and I came to the end of the aisle and I hit another cart. And I looked over at the person who ran in the cart, and I looked at him, and I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman because they were so badly burned. Like their hands, their face, completely unrecognizable of a man or a woman. And I looked up, and it was a woman, by the way, and she looked at me, and she looked right at my face, and she goes, "Man, what the fuck happened to your face?" and dude, I start dying laughing, because she knows what I've been through, and I know what she's been through. And it turns out what happened was she had been in a plane crash, and her whole family had been killed in the plane crash, and she was the only person to survive. And we sat there and we talked for 10, 15 minutes, about what had happened to her and what had happened to me, and we had a good laugh about it. We laughed at other people, how they were so dumb for looking at the floor, all the stuff we just talked about.
Yeah.
And it changed my perspective immediately. I went from feeling bad, I went from being depressed, I went from having all these struggles to saying, you know what, this is not bad. This is not even this is a good thing. And so I chose to start seeing it as something that would eventually teach me something. And it turns out it ended up being really good for business, because back then when Chris and I would go to trade shows, nobody knew who we were. All right.
Okay.
After I got stabbed and my face was swollen, I had scars all over it, I would talk to people and they would remember me. So I would go to these trade shows and people would be they'd be like, "Oh, hey, those guys from Supplement Superstore." And they'd be like, "No, we don't know those. You know Andy, the dude with the scars on his face."
No way.
Yeah, and so what happened was people started remembering us because of it.
Yeah, now they know Andy the multimillionaire, but then it was Andy the dude with the scars on his face.
But you know what? When you try so hard to stand out, and it's important in business to stand out and be memorable, I was blessed with an opportunity to make me naturally memorable.
Wow.
And so it ended up serving me, and that's how I see it now. I actually see it as one of the best things that ever happened to me.
I believe that too. By the way, that's probably my favorite story I've ever had on the show, right there. That's probably my favorite story. And let me tell you the reason why. First off, it's not the events that happen to us, it's the meaning we attach to the events, right? Because events happen to everybody, and so eventually what you did, is you attached a new meaning to the event. It served you. It happened for you, not to you.
Yes, and it took that interaction, and I believe God put that interaction in play. I mean, that was not a coincidence.
No way. No way.
Dude.
Of all the people walking in the world, your cart bumps into someone
that saved me, man.
That's crazy.
And dude, you and I, we have literally millions of conversations, right? Over the course of your career. You've had a million conversations with a million different people. I can definitively say that conversation was the most impactful conversation.
Crazy.
And it was a random, chance encounter, and it was the most powerful conversation that I've ever had in my life, just because it made me understand that A, things could be way worse.
Right.
Okay. And B, no matter how bad things are, there's always good that can come of them. And
amen. I believe that totally.
Totally, dude. And people will, when I say that, I always get a lot of pushback. They'll be like, "Well, what about these kids that die from cancer?" Well, yeah, that's terrible. And I agree. There's not much good that comes from that.
Right.
But the one thing that is good that comes from those kind of situations is that we can choose to appreciate our own mortality and learn how to appreciate the people in our lives while we have them. Because I feel like so many people, they live for this thing that doesn't exist because we're ambitious, right? We always want more. We always want to do more. We always want to accomplish more. And so for that reason, and I know you've probably had this situation before, you start neglecting the now for this
All the
later,
time.
right?
All the time. I struggle with that now.
Yeah,
I
do
still
too.
do it. It's one
I
of the
do
things.
too.
I'm so ambitious. I'm so driven.
Right.
It's like, hey, be present right now.
But I promise, and I think you'll agree with me, that being able to be ambitious and also be present is extremely important, because if you're always ambitious and you're not like you guys who are like young right now and you're not where you want to be, and you think, you know, oh, I want to be a millionaire and whenever I make this much money, I'll be this. You won't. That's not what's going to define you. What's going to define you is the relationships that you're having now, and appreciating those, and those will help build you into that. But you know how people like, dude, you used to think before you had any money or you had any success, you probably thought, man, once I get here, it'll be different. Once I get here, it'll be this.
Yep, that was my constant conversation. Once I get there, then I'll relax and enjoy. Once I get there, then I'll have fun. Once I get there, and then I'm like, there was never this place.
Right.
There was never. And that's the difference. You and I were talking earlier. I'm really enjoying this, by the way. It's the difference for me of being successful and being fulfilled, right? You can have all the success and not be fulfilled, but if you can be present now, you can be fulfilled. And here's the one thing. I'll tell you, if you can be happy where you are now, you're really going to be happy once these other things come. But if you're not happy now,
it's going to accelerate the problems.
It does.
Yeah, and amplify.
We have friends that we see that. It's like they're more unhappy, they're more stressed, they're more depressed. It's funny that we're talking about this, because people that knew you and I were meeting, right? They're like, oh, it's the clash of the alpha males, you know, and then you and I meet each other, and it's interesting because I think when you see someone who's built a great life, or like in your case, like they built the big dude, strong dude, lots of confidence, we're giving people advice. I think they go, these are super confident people, right? And the truth is, I think when you see someone like us that way, I think when you look at us now, you know, these are people that had to come from a further place. Like, we're both introverted. We're both shy. We both probably have, I bet you that both of us have a more natural dose of insecurity than a normal person.
There's no question. Like, that's why we're so driven.
That's why we're driven. I had to figure out, and I want those of you that hear this, I had to figure out young. I was like, okay, I know how insecure I am.
That's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
So people hear insecure and they automatically attach, like they take it as a dig because they've heard it like in dating. Oh, you're jealous because you're insecure.
Right.
Well, yeah, maybe, but I'm also driven, and I'm also wanting to win, and I also have something to prove. And that's a great thing. That's another example of taking something that would normally be a negative and turning it's alchemy, right? It's taking something and turning it into something that is valuable.
I agree.
And you know, being insecure, and I say this a lot on my podcast because people don't like to talk about it, because like a lot of people in our position who are out there making content for people, their egos are too big to admit it.
Right.
I'm not, dude. I'll tell you right now.
Me too.
I got a ton of shit to prove.
Me too.
And I'm gonna fucking prove it.
Me too.
You know, and if that's how you feel, you've got all your family, you've got all your friends, and they're telling you can't do it, you can't do this, and you want to prove them wrong. Good.
That's right. That is good.
Yeah,
that's a good
that's
thing.
good. That's
good. Don't you think my insecurity is because I'm so wanting to be this other version of me, the best version of me, and I compare it to who I am now, that makes me insecure. Like, I don't want to be comfortable with me. I don't want to think I've got it all figured out. Of course.
What's good about comfort? We were just talking about this over here. You know, you accomplish this. You get the houses, you get the jet, you get the cars, you get the life, you get the company, and then what?
And then what?
And so.
And what have you and I both determined the then what is?
To serve other people.
You got it.
Right. And that's, people are always like, well, and I'm sure they're asking you, they're like, Ed, why are you doing all this? Why are you making this content? You're a multimillionaire. You've got all these things. You don't have to do that because it's a call. It's a calling. Like people say in faith. Right, Vaughn? In faith. All right? It's a calling. Like I feel an obligation so I grew up with an extremely intelligent, driven, amazing father. And like, dude,
me too.
And if people would have seen how he raised me, they would have said that he was probably abusive, because dude, he was hard, man. But here's the deal. I want people to, my dad prepared me for the reality. And I want people to be prepared too, because I feel like the younger generation, a lot of the people watching right now, are not taught the truth. They're taught that everybody wins, everybody's special, everybody, you know, is probably going to end up being a multimillionaire. Everybody loves you, and that's not the truth.
It's the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah. So they get taught this thing. I mean, they don't even keep score now in kids' games. They get taught this thing up until they're 20 years old, and then they're kicked out in the real world. And then what happens? The real world stomps them.
More and more, I think that's why this generation's having a harder time. There's more and more people out there that want to be entrepreneurs, that want to be successful, that see it more than ever. But their wiring needs to change. You need to be a little harder, a little tougher, a little more in love with the grind, a little bit harder working on yourself. And also, you got to work like it's going to happen now, but you got to be patient as hell. Like it took you 10 years, right? I didn't really make any real money, save any real money for over a decade either, right? Like, by the way, on that, so it just reminded me of something. You see this big old buff stud dude here, but you've written a couple, I just want to throw this out there. You've written a couple children's books, and what we were just talking about, I was reading, it's Otis and Charlie Play to Win, right? Part of that book is that it's about competing, and it's teaching kids that not everybody gets a trophy, right? Isn't that part of that book? So those of you that have young kids, you should get them involved with some of the books this kid's written, this dude's written. Tell them about that.
That's why we wrote the books. I wrote them with Vaughn, who's my co-host on the podcast, and our purpose of what we do, and while we do monetize some things, our purpose of doing this was not to, let's just make more money. Our purpose of doing this was to help reverse what is being taught to this generation. When you and I grew up, we were both athletes. We were taught to fucking win.
Absolutely.
And I don't even know if I can curse on this show.
You can curse on the show.
Okay. It's fine. But we were taught to win. We were taught to go out, do our best, and win, and not feel bad about it. Be a good sport, but don't feel bad about it. Now these kids are taught that winning is wrong, and it's not okay.
Unreal.
And if you win, you should feel bad. Like that's not. You could paint the ideal picture all you want, but that's not reality.
That's right.
And my goal with the books, and this is why I haven't written an adult book. My goal is to make an impact, and I feel like if we're going to make an impact, we've got to start with the youngest generation.
Love it, brother.
You know, and
how do they get the books? They go to Amazon?
Yeah, just Amazon. It's Otis and Charlie.
Because we were both talking about, it just occurred to me when you said, it's like we're talking about all this rewiring, you know, people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s need to go through. I think it's awesome that you're starting to grab them when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old.
A lot of parents would DM me and they'd say, man, I wish I could teach my kids all this stuff. They want their kids to know this stuff, but they don't know how to teach them. So that was the book. The book is a tool for parents that want to teach their kids the reality, but don't know exactly how. They realize something is off with what they've been taught, and it's not the actual truth. I mean, what are we taught? We're taught this: go to school, get a degree, get a job, and and eventually you'll have enough money to retire, which you won't, by the way.
Not, right?
And they don't tell you that you're going to be in debt your whole life, and they don't. The real truth is this: go to school, get a degree, get a job, get yourself in debt so that you're required to work for somebody your whole life.
That's right.
You have to work.
They ought to tell you the first day of college.
It's a human resource that the system is designed to squeeze the juice out of.
That's exactly. And by the way, that's why one of my goals is that we start to get more entrepreneurship in colleges, right? If they're going to have to go, because the first day of college, they ought to go, hey, look, here's what your life is likely to be. You're going to come out here with a couple $100,000 in debt. You're going to end up at 50 years old. You're not going to have $50,000 saved. You're going to be in debt and divorced at least once. That's literally the program you're on, right? And it's like someone ought to tell you that up front. So when you sign up for it, I'd rather sign up for the program where I go through 4, 5, 10 years of struggle as an entrepreneur, and on the other side, I'm in my man cave like this and helping other people, right? That's the program I want to be on.
Well, even if you work inside of a company, the values of being an entrepreneur still will help you become successful and valuable.
100%.
Because there's a lot of people out there watching that might not ever own their own company, but maybe they work inside of a company that has a nice upside.
You got it. There's some equity in there, or something you could do.
So those people still, if they learn the skills of entrepreneurship, they can become valuable within a system.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And by the way, eventually have your eye on starting your own deal.
Exactly.
Right? If there's, my advice, people say, do I have to start a business? No, but you better be somewhere where there's equity or ownership for you eventually. And if there's no play for that, I don't have any wealthy friends who get a W-2 for 50 years of their life. Eventually, you got to get a 1099. Eventually, you got to be able to sell something, make something, or earn something. That's at least how I feel.
No, I agree. I think that, I do believe, and some people don't believe this, but I do believe that entrepreneurship is somewhat a skill. I feel like
so do I.
I feel like certain people have it, and not everybody can have it. Now that makes people upset when I say that, because I always get bad emails. They say, "Oh, well, I could be an entrepreneur." Maybe you can. But like my friend Gary Vaynerchuk, he puts it this way: everybody can go play basketball. But not everybody's going to be LeBron James.
I agree with that.
Okay, and I do too. I agree with that too.
I think it's I don't think it's in my mind.
So what do you say to people who may not be entrepreneurs, but they work within a company that has opportunity?
I think that's what I'm saying. I think as long as you work within a company where there's a chance for you to have some equity, some ownership, something that's your own, your own space that doesn't require that, right? Another part of it is too, is like, you have to be honest with yourself. I don't think it's a capacity issue. I think it's a threshold of pain issue, a desire issue, a work ethic issue, and not everybody is wired for that because they're passionate about other things.
Right.
They're more passionate about, being charitable, or they're more passionate about, doing stuff with kids. There may be just things you do that your passion isn't being an entrepreneur. I think if your passion's to be an entrepreneur, like you and I had this calling when we were kids.
Dude, I sold baseball cards, sold snow cones, I sold light bulbs door to door. Dude, I mean.
And you're an athlete, like you always wanted to be. Here's what I just really think. I just always wanted to be free.
Yeah.
I always wanted to. You and I were just talking. We literally cut each other off. We're like, it's not about the money, it's about this. I want it. And we said at the same time, win.
Yeah.
We literally said the same thing. There's this edge, this compete, this desire level, right? And like, if you feel that, I think you can be an entrepreneur. If you want to go through heat, time, pain, stress, everything.
I think you have to. I don't think you even have to endure it. I think you have to fucking want it.
I think you have to want it.
Yeah. Like I want.
This is good.
Look, people think this is wrong, but it's not wrong. It's right. I want to wipe the fucking earth of my competition.
Yep.
I want their houses to burn down. I want them to do zero sales. I want to win.
Yep.
And not just win, but dominate. And
Right.
when I say that, do I literally want their houses to burn down?
Right.
Of course not.
Right.
But that's a metaphor for how bad I want to win.
You want to dominate.
Yes.
You don't want to just win. You want to dominate.
And if you don't have that killer instinct in you, to where like when somebody competes with you, it makes you angry, and you're like I get offended. Like, how dare you think you're going to compete with me?
Yeah, I can feel it.
You
right
know
now.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
you just switched again.
Yeah.
Yep, I can
And
feel it. You're scaring me.
Yeah, no.
Just kidding.
I think I'm one of the old. I think you feel that, and I think other people feel that.
Yeah.
But I don't think they say it. And so, like, for that reason, when I say it, it sounds crazy.
It doesn't sound crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound crazy to someone like me. But I want to say one thing about it. I think you have this capacity, and I'm not just bragging on you here. I think you have this capacity, which is, I don't know anybody else in this space that does this. You have this way of saying, because I have also one, right? Like one rare thing about both of us is that are in this space, like we both have real businesses, are really wealthy, and have really done the stuff we're telling you. We're not just,
and we're still doing it.
And we're still doing it, right? Like we're not making this up as we go along.
This isn't a make money quick scheme for us.
No. This is our lifestyle.
It's not theory.
But you do something profound, man. This is why your following's so huge. You say really important, profound, deep things in simple ways so that I can understand it. Like the depth of the things you talk about, like the reservoir of where it comes from, just so you know, I really watched from a distance. I was like, this is so good, so true, so profound. Yet you don't say it in a way that draws attention to you like you're this guru, brilliant dude. You say it like, hey, bro, I got you. But then when you spit it, it's not simple stuff. It's not slogans. It's really deep stuff.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I also feel that you have to speak in the proper language. And a lot of people are like, oh, dude, you curse too much. You do this. Look, man, I'm just like, if I sit around at your barbecue, that's how I'm going to talk. Like, if you don't, if your mom's offended by Thanksgiving or by curse words, don't invite me to Thanksgiving because it's coming out. You know, like that's just, especially if you have any drinks. Right. But you know, that's how we talk, man. That's how my bros talk. That's how we talk in my company. And I just try to take. Like, I feel like a lot of guys in our space, they make it, they do exactly what you just said I don't.
Yeah.
They try to present things in this language that is complicated to make them appear smarter than everybody else.
That's exactly what it is.
When in reality, people already know you're smarter. They're fucking watching you.
Right, they already know. They wouldn't be watching you.
You don't need to boost your ego anymore. Like, let's teach people some real shit.
That's what I found. I watch you. Actually, I was saying this to a buddy of ours, a mutual friend of ours, Cardone. I actually told Grant, I said, this guy actually is solely concerned with helping these other people, not like, I'm brilliant, look at me, right?
Well, I don't think I am. Like, I really don't. Like,
I know you don't.
I really don't. I feel like, like I told you, you know what I say when you first walked in? I said, I'm so excited you're here because I can't wait to learn what you know.
Right, and I said the same right back to you. That's exactly.
I'm a sponge, man. I'm more of a student than a teacher, you know, and I don't think people realize that. I'm just relaying the shit that I've learned. You know, I just want to learn. I want to learn from you. I want to learn from Grant. I want to learn some shit from Gary.
We both talked about Tony. We both learned a ton from Tony Robbins.
Dude, I mean, I've learned so much, like I told you.
I know when I see someone else because we share a certain level of thinking and belief that we both have. But let me say one thing about this, because he won't talk about himself here, so I'm going to say it. This is who you should be learning from as well. Like my highest stamp of approval. And so it's this MF CEO podcast that you have. Talk a little bit about that, because this guy not only produces profound stuff, but he produces a lot of it that can serve you, right? Like, this is something you can get in his community. You can have a relationship with this guy that's ongoing.
Yeah.
So first, tell him a little bit about that, because I want people that follow me to be hearing what you talk about, because I know it can serve them even in a way that I can't. So how do they get access to you and your podcast?
It's at the mfceo.com. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on SoundCloud. We're getting on Google Play. We've been a top 10 rated podcast for almost since the beginning.
It's so good, brother.
Yeah,
It's so good.
We've been very fortunate. The message just resonates because, like what you said, it's real, man. It's myself, the producer Tyler, and then Vaughn the Impaler, who is an
Vaughn's good. He has great questions.
He's an ex-pastor, so it's a very unique dynamic. It's me, who's I curse and I'm brash and I say what I think, and Vaughn ties it together and it works really well. It's cool, but basically here it is. We want you to learn the real shit. We want you to learn what it's going to take to succeed. We want you to learn not just the practical steps, the X's and O's, where to advertise, what you do with your product, how to name a product, blah, 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 all the other stuff. We talk about all of those things. The biggest thing I think that we resonate with is that we talk about the mental mindset that is needed to create success. Because I feel like anybody can go out and create a product or start a business. The reason most people don't succeed is because they're not prepared mentally. Would you agree or disagree with that?
100%.
I mean, how much do you think your success has to do with mental?
85, 90%.
Yeah, and how much time do you spend on personal development?
Thousands and thousands of hours.
Dude, me too.
Yep.
Me too. And people and young people, they look at you and I and they say, "Oh, you've got this talent for business, or you've got this you're amazingly skilled or talented." No. You have worked your ass off, and so have I, to learn the things that we've learned.
Yep.
Nothing that you and I that we teach is new stuff.
Right.
It's just stuff that we've learned along the way or we've absorbed from other people.
One of the huge differences when you and I were doing, we had to pay fortunes to get access to it.
Oh my gosh.
They can get access to this stuff now for nothing.
You couldn't even.
It's unbelievable.
When I used to do personal development, it was reading Tony's books.
Me too.
It was reading Seth Godin's books.
Yep.
Now, I mean, God, there's so many good people out there.
And that's why I'm only putting a few people on my show, because I want them to go to and we're going to talk about this next, okay?
Yeah, the fake.
You've built a real business. I want people that are going to follow people. You don't have time for theories.
Right.
I want stuff that's worked, that's applicable, that I know happens now with dudes that are blowing up and ladies that are blowing up real businesses right now. And so in your case, that's why I want you to go to him. This stuff he does every day. I'm walking around, he's got this giant facility here. There's another one that's almost 250,000 square feet down the street. And so what they haven't heard yet, and this is why I want them on this MFCEO podcast, is now, that was the first 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But now, you're talking about, especially the last 5 or 8 years, we're going to talk about this. I want them to hear this. You're talking about one of the great, honestly, I opened the show with this, you're one of the great American entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
For every reason, because of the wealth you've created, what you're starting to create for your guys, and then the paying it forward. You're taking this gift, this success, and you're spreading it, man. That by definition makes you great. And you're creating wealth and richness in people's lives, brother. So tell them about, we know the hard years, okay? What's it at now? How many supplement superstores now do you guys have?
We've got 18. We'll have 20 here, I think, by next week.
So you got those.
We're starting to roll that out. So that was our first business we started.
Yeah.
We have our franchise set up for that.
Okay.
But we've chosen to award franchises to employees that start with us. So we could have went out. I actually axed a 100 store deal about 2 years ago, because we made it, which would have made me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Instantly. And we axed that because we decided that we were going to create a situation where if you start with our company at minimum wage, which people do, okay, that's entry level, they can eventually work up to own their own franchise market that we finance them. So like right now we have two franchise markets that we just started franchising. One is in Kansas City, where they're opening 10 stores, and the guys that own that market started out at $7.50 an hour when they started.
And now they're owners.
Now they're owners. Now they're going to own.
They'll be
those
millionaires.
guys will be multimillionaires in the next couple of years.
You can love that.
So Chris and I both feel very passionately about wanting to be one of the only companies that can say, look, if you start here, there's no limit to where you can go. You know what I mean? You can go all the way up to being a multimillionaire depending on what you do. And the guys who own that market, Jeff and Kyle, have been with me for 8-9 years, and they're as good as I am at the business.
That's wonderful, dude.
But Jeff, if you watch this, you're not as good as I am. Kyle, you are.
Kyle, you are.
Yeah.
Kyle is. So what happens is you have these supplement superstores. You're in that supplement business, and you're like, hey, a lot of this stuff is not great stuff, right? So then you decide, all right, I'm going to flip in. I'm going to get into the actual business of making the product.
Right.
All of you guys that are in the fitness industry that follow me, the more I've understood the actual technical ways this guy manufactures his product too, it's just unbelievable, the difference, right? And the benefits to your body and not the downside stuff too. But so you decide to start First Form.
Yep. So
this is where it gets going good,
yeah,
right? So tell us about that.
So Chris and I had a lot of experience with obviously other people's products.
Yeah.
And what we noticed in the supplement industry was that everybody was trying to make the cheapest product.
Okay.
And I just told him, I'm like, dude, we can make a better product than anybody out there. We've just got to sell it for more. Nobody wanted to do that, quite honestly, because a lot of people in the supplement industry aren't great business people. They don't work. They don't follow the fundamental rule of helping someone. Okay, I am going to make a product that you're going to ingest.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you want to take the cheapest, least quality product, or do you want to take the most expensive, best quality product? There's a market for it. It's obvious, and nobody was hitting it. And so we just decided, hey, we're going to be the premium brand, and we went and did it. And we went out. We were the first company to come out with low temperature processed protein.
Yeah.
We started small, man. We started with a $30,000 PO. We went and picked up the pallets in the back of our pickup trucks from our manufacturer, who is now our partner in manufacturing. And we would take the product and we would drive it around to our retail stores, and literally we would do that like once a month. When people first started using our product, they would come in and they would say, "Oh, what are you doing? Making that in your basement?" Because like they couldn't believe that we were starting.
Yeah.
They couldn't understand. Oh, you're starting another company now? I don't understand this. And we'd have to like have this whole script where it would be like, "No, this is a different company. This is, you know." And eventually, the great people of St. Louis, I'm very proud of this city, got behind us and gave us a lot of traction locally, which allowed us to grow. And then we went from selling it to the stores like we did to a 12,000 square foot warehouse, to a 60,000 square foot, to a 75,000 square foot, to now we have the 75,000 plus the 225.
My God.
Yeah, and now we're getting ready to move out of this building and build a whole new headquarters.
What kind of revenue, sales, all that stuff this year do you guys do?
This year we should be about 170. I'm
170
hoping.
million.
Yeah.
That's 170 million.
That's both companies together. Yeah,
Okay.
that's S2 and First Form.
Okay, 170 million.
Yeah.
And then what do you think, or you have goals in the next 3, 4, 5 years, take that to $1 billion?
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is a B.
Is a B.
I'm over the M's.
That is so awesome, brother. That is unbelievable.
Thank you.
And so that everyone think you're an overnight success until they hear that you went, 10 years basically with nothing, 7 years basically didn't make a dollar.
Well, a lot of the other brands in our space, they're not set up to build real companies. They're set up as a cash flow, cash in, cash out. The owners make good money, but they don't have a team.
Yeah.
We've got a real team, and we've got real people out there that are we've got careers here.
Yeah.
And we've got the best people, man. Like my brother runs day to day at First Form. He does an amazing job. All of our team inside the office and all of our reps. I mean,
you really do feel this because when you toured me,
our culture is built on change, man. Like we people, the difference between it used to be just our products. Like our products were superior.
Yeah.
The difference now is that the people. Dude, we have people in our brand who are literally 100% dedicated to helping other people. You know what I mean? It's the mission. And that's what drives, it's a culture-driven company.
When you toured me, that's what you talked about.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I get toured all the time at different businesses, right? And the whole time you're talking about your people.
Yeah.
Point to that guy. This is what he does. This is what his background is. This is how I know him. This is the great job they do. And like it was sincere.
Yeah, like the guy that we went to, Scott, the one I pointed to at the warehouse. We were in 7th grade together.
You told me that.
Yeah.
And by the way, you told me this knowing they weren't even going to hear you telling me.
No.
It wasn't a technique. It was you really heartfelt felt this way about these people.
Yeah.
You built like an unbelievable brand and company, brother.
Dude, we most of us don't have friends outside the company. Like it's weird. It's like if you're not in it, you're on the outside. If you're in it, you're in it.
I don't even think that's weird. Almost every great company that I've been around,
really,
including mine.
Because I haven't been around that many.
Yeah, I've been around. By the way, I haven't been around a lot of great companies either. But the ones I have been around, I can tell you, my business, my best friends are all in my business.
Yeah.
Right? They're just, I'm close to them. It's like it's my family.
Yeah.
We share the most in common.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's part of our culture.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about a few things, because like it's unreal what you've done, right? And it's just the beginning. I can feel that. You're even talking about changing your model and expanding it, and all the different things you're going to do. So you've done a couple things that's interesting to me. So one, your body's changed the last few years. Like I've seen videos of you, brother,
lost
right?
100 pounds.
You lost 100 pounds. So you've turned everything around, right? So is it the same stuff, or like what did you do to change your physique?
Dude, what did I actually do?
Yeah, like physically, like did you make did you like look in the mirror one day and go, holy crap,
dude.
You know?
I mean, look, it was way out of hand. Like I told you, man, I struggle with depression. So depression's something that I battled my whole adult life. I go through phases, and those phases last for years. Okay, I go for 2 or 3 years, I'd be great. I go for 2 or 3 years, and I'm a total wreck. And when I'm a total wreck, I eat everything in my face. I drink everything. You know, I'm having a good time in my mind, but I'm not accounting for the problems that it's causing. And I had got myself up to about 350 pounds. And dude. I just looked in the mirror and I'm like, fuck, you're fat, you know, and you can't be fat in my business and be effective.
Good point.
So,
how long did you take to lose 100 pounds?
I lost most of it in about 8 months.
8 months.
Yeah, I lost about 80 pounds in 8 months, and then the last 20 has been like recomping for like the last about a year and a half, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So now I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. I still got a little bit to go. Thank you.
Great.
I want to get down. I'm 245 right now. I want to be the same weight but a little leaner.
Okay, let's get in that brain of yours for a minute.
Yeah.
So this, by the way, I struggle with depression too. Most people would be surprised to know that dudes like us that are super high energy and help people, that we have all the same struggles and maybe even deeper ones.
Well, when you give so much of yourself all the time, there's not a whole lot left. At the end of the day, you know.
I think people thought you and I were gonna get together and we're gonna bump chests to see who was stronger and bigger, and then we met each other. It's like, hey man, like I got the same stuff you got, right? It's the same things. So get in this brain of yours for a few minutes, because we're not have that much time left. But like, so this is just like general, but who the hell are you? Like, what has made you this freak that you are? Are you like an obsessed, whack job, crazy person? Are you thinking business all the time? Like, if someone said to you, hey man, you know, I got 3 minutes with you, why are you so successful? What is it about you, what you do or think, that's different than the average dude out there?
I've just learned that I used to think like a lot of younger people think, and maybe some people in business. I used to think like this. Man, I wonder if I'm gonna ever be one of those successful guys. Like, did you ever think like this when you were broke? Did you ever think like, man, I wonder if I'm ever gonna be like fortunate enough to be one of these guys who has this house and this life and this and that? Like, there was always a question of doubt in my brain.
I still have it.
Yeah. Okay.
I still have it sometimes.
So I think I just accepted that there's no like validity to that at all. It's just total mind bullshit that your brain does. And I started to realize that it's just as simple as executing on a daily basis. And when I started to believe that, and the doubt went away, I think that made me A, more confident, B, it works. And I don't feel like I'm a freak of any, you know, I'm just highly competitive, and I know that I know how to win. I know that if I'm doing effective things on a daily basis, those effective things compound over the course of time.
Are you a planner? Do you like write stuff down? Do you have goals? Do
Oh
you
yeah,
do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do. What a lot of my listeners, I have this little method called the power list.
Okay.
And basically what it is it's 5 critical tasks. So for a while on Instagram, we used to always see these memes, okay? And it would be like, you know, I only sleep 1 hour a day, and that's what you got to do to be successful. And that's bullshit, okay? I am, and this is going to sound really weird, but I'm actually really fucking lazy.
Me too.
Okay?
So am I.
Yeah, so like I just find ways to be effective.
Me too.
So my goal was to do as much good stuff in a day and then have the rest of the day to myself, okay? So I figured out that if I could execute on 5 tasks, not the basic things, not like, oh, I gotta work out, but all right, the things are extra than that, okay? I've got to make this call. I've got to send that email. I've got to follow up with this. I've got to do that. Once those 5 things are done, I'm done for the day.
Gotcha.
So if I can get all 5 of my things done before 10 a.m., I got the whole day to do whatever I want.
Okay.
All right? Okay. And the rule of the power list is this. It's got to be 5 critical tasks, all right? Those critical tasks have to be something that are not a habit for you. So let's say your goal is to work out and eat right, and you're not currently doing it. That can be on your power list for up to 21 days. Okay, after it's been on your power list for 21 days and you've won the 21 days in a row, you have to remove it and replace it with 2 other things.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, yeah, so your list is always progressing. It is literally a fail-safe way to be successful. I talk about it on my podcast, the MFCEO Project. There's a whole episode dedicated to it. It's episode 107.
Okay.
If you guys want to go listen to 107, go listen to that. You learn the method. But I just figured that out, man, over the course of time. And
it's so rare executing though. Like, don't you think, like, it's the rarest thing, even in my business, like, I can't believe how people
It's not that hard, though.
It isn't, but people go through a whole day of busyness.
Yeah.
They go, wow, I put in a 15-hour day, to your point.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I go, if we went back and did you do 5 things?
you could have done the whole, you could have done the whole 15-hour day in 2 hours and had the rest of the day to yourself.
That's another thing elite performers have. They shrink time frames. They can get a whole lot more done in short windows of time.
And we want to because we're lazy. We want to go fuck off.
It's true. By the way, and I am lazy too. People think, oh, I'm not. I'm lazy. Like I have to have habits and disciplines because if you left me to my own devices, I'd be eating Cheetos, sitting on the couch, drinking tequila, right? Like
that sounds like a good time.
It does sound good. I like that stuff too. So a couple other things. So what's 100 to 0? I just read this. What is that? Like, what's that all about?
100 to 0 is something that I came up with that me and 2 of my guys at work, all right? 2 of the guys at work, one of them is super competitive and the other one was very badly injured and is also very competitive. Okay. And we were talking one time on text and we were like, so these guys co-manage one of our biggest stores in retail. And we were talking on text and Austin, one of the guys, he goes, man, I want to kill all of these other stores. He goes, I don't even want them to sell anything. Like I would say, he goes, if we were playing football, I want to beat them 100-0. And that's how it started. Okay. So it started as 100. So now me and the 2 guys had this thing where we would just text 100-0. Basically, it means domination.
Dominate.
Okay. Yeah. And then I started bringing it on the podcast. I started talking about, hey, look, there's so much of this feel-good idealist nonsense out there that is telling people it's not okay. Like we see it, like kids' basketball game. A team will score 100 points and the other team scores 7, and they fire the coach. Dude, that's not okay.
Right.
What are you teaching your kids? That it's okay. You're supposed to lose or feel bad when you win, and I'm just anti any of that. So basically, we just started a hashtag 100 to 0, and selling shirts, and I put it on my wall, and it's just a reminder, like, hey, we're here to fucking win.
I love that.
No matter what, like we're here to win, and if the other team can't score, that's their problem. That's not our problem.
How do you feel about like mentors and coaches and stuff? So like you talk about teachers and coaches. Like, do you think there's this whole thing about you should have a mentor, you should have a coach? Do you think some of that's overcooked? Sometimes
I think it is overcooked.
So do I. I think sometimes. Good. I think sometimes people they're always looking outside themselves, right? Instead of. Do you agree with that?
I think that the mentor thing started. Instagram has amplified this mentor thing. Like you got to have a mentor. Dude, most of the mentors that you guys have don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Okay, let's be real. Do they have a real business? Show them let's see their financials. Let's see the house they live in. Let's see their plane. Let's see the cars. If they don't have that shit, you probably shouldn't be listening to them. Okay, if you're trying to be successful in business. I mentor people every day through the podcast, through my Instagram. I don't have to have a one-on-one. If you can't pick up what I'm putting down from that, you ain't got it anyway.
Doesn't it surprise you often you get asked stuff that you've put out that they don't even find? Does that drive you crazy?
I personally will not respond to that because I know that they're too lazy to go look at it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get asked that all the time. Like, hey, I already put that out. Like, go find my stuff, right? Like, it exists.
Dude, and what that is that's people wanting to, they want to touch you, right? Like, I know Ed, or I know Andy, and I need validation from them, or I need permission. That's them looking for permission. You don't need his permission, you don't need mine. You don't need your mom's permission, you don't need your dad's permission, you don't need anybody's permission. In fact, the more people that tell you you can't are probably good for you.
100%,
So I just feel like the mentor thing, I had mentors, but I didn't call them mentors. I didn't know they were mentors.
Me either.
I just had a dad. And I listened to Tony Robbins stuff. And by the way, thank you, Tony Robbins. Like,
me too.
I was just telling you, how impactful. I would like to take a minute to plug him for a second.
Sure.
Okay. I think he's not getting with the young generation the way that he should.
Me too.
And I feel like, you know, you guys who are following people like Ed or following people like myself or following Gary Vee, you need to go to the OG.
That's right, he's
listen,
the OG.
Yeah, and listen to Tony's stuff, because a big part of where I'm at had to do with getting his personal power set.
Me too.
My mom gave it to me, and you know, my mom gave it, I'm like, I'm not listening to that crap, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like 3 years later, I listened to it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, holy shit, dude, this is awesome.
Yep.
And I've been a believer ever since. And
Me too.
You know,
We all come from him somehow. Doesn't
dude,
it feel like
it's
it?
the truth. And the younger guys, the young entrepreneurs, you guys need to go listen to his stuff and follow him, man. Like, buy his products. And I would not say, if you follow me, you know I tell you not to buy anybody's products.
Yeah.
His is worth it.
His is worth it.
Yeah.
But in your case, you are too, and I'll tell you why. Because the mentoring thing is one thing, but I also, the gift now that you or I or a few other guys can give that are in this space is that we can get people's consciousness of thinking the right stuff, right? We're not going to directly see you every single day, but you're directing my focus. You're giving me ideas. You're putting the right thoughts in my head. You're giving me, and you and I are both saying this about Tim Grover, you're giving me permission to be obsessed.
Yeah.
You're giving me permission to win. Like, I don't
Dude,
need
that's
everybody.
another guy.
Yeah, I love Grover.
Yeah.
We don't need, I just had him on the show. He's awesome. But I don't need permission from my family, but I need permission to be myself. It's like, hey man, it's confirmation that I'm not crazy.
Right.
These dreams aren't nuts. I'm not a wacko because I want to win and compete so bad. It's not so much permission as confirmation. There's dudes like me, there's ladies like me, there's people like me that want to live life maxed out, right?
Yeah.
Like that's that's what I think you do more than anything. It's
Yeah.
like, go man, you're good, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what you do.
I just try to help people find their way. You know what I mean? Like, being an entrepreneur definitely is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people aren't going to be happy being that, because as much of the cool shit that you see, there's a lot of bad stuff too that's tough.
It's a lot of
and
ugly.
you've got to really love that tough stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I will give Gary a lot of credit. Gary always talks about loving like the grit and the dirt and the hard shit. And you do kind of, because like I don't know if you're like this, but I bet you kind of are. Like when crisis happens in your company, I bet you're calm, and I bet you figure it out instantly. And you're like, okay, your wheels start turning, and you're challenged, and you get fired up, and you get excited. As soon as you know the solution, I bet you're excited. Like, shit could be burning to the ground.
100% right.
And as soon as I know the problem, as soon as I live in that space.
Last week that happened, I was like, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I was born to do.
Yes.
Like, I was in my moment.
And like, when I'm not in that, I feel useless.
Me too.
Yeah. Like
it's like kryptonite.
Right.
I feel like Superman on kryptonite when I don't have that.
Like,
that
when
stuff.
shit's going really good, like, I'm like.
I think sometimes I stir up messes just so that I can fix it.
Yeah, I walk through the office, I'm like, what's going on? Nothing.
I
got this, I'm like,
no.
What do I got to do?
No, but I've literally learned that. Like, if I'm going to be growing my company, there should be crap going on around me. There should be fires all the time. Let's finish up with this, because you're about to launch something here pretty soon, because it's not mentoring, but it's more direct access to you. It's more specific stuff. So tell them what you're planning on doing here real soon.
So we're launching Frisella Entrepreneurship Academy. It's an academy. It's exactly what it sounds like. There's level 1, level 2, level 3 courses. People come in, they can learn not some Instagram thing of like how to open an Instagram account management service or whatever. Like, that's not what we do. What we do is teach people the exact tools they need to run a real company and build a real brand. A lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, a lot of real estate agents, a lot of people who are in business and have skills have no idea how to run a business.
It's true.
So we're opening an academy that shows people step by step what they're going to need to run a real business and build a real company, not just a hack to try to make some income on the side. You know what I mean? So if you're looking for some sort of business to start, that's not what we do. We take your business and we show you how to run it.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing, and we're doing that from, I'm a real guy. I built a business from zero to where it is now, and a lot of people have questions about what to do at this point, or how to do this or how to do that, especially when it comes to marketing and advertising and how to get word of mouth out and make customers loyal. And I talk about all these things on the podcast, but I don't show them exactly how to do it. This is where I'm going to get into the gritty details of how to execute. And so I'm excited, man. I think it's gonna be cool. I'm excited about the guys, not just the guys who are like watching and I want to own a company one day, but I'm excited about the guy who has a company right now and he's like struggling and he doesn't know what to do. And I'm excited about helping those people.
Yeah, well, you're gonna.
Yeah.
The big thing I think everybody, by the way, it's really good today, brother.
Thank you.
Like, I got a lot out of this.
Oh, thank you.
It was good for me,
Thank
man.
you.
I mean, really, I know you all did too. Probably the way you can get to the center hub of this guy, though, is just follow him on social media. Follow this guy on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm mainly on Instagram.
I'd be on Instagram with this guy, and then the mfceo.com podcast as well.
Yep.
They can subscribe on iTunes,
Yep.
all these other platforms too.
Yep.
I know it helps if they subscribe
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It drives this stuff up.
I'm always
so
pushing to subscribe.
Yeah.
If you like the content, subscribe. That's all I ask.
that's
I
how
don't
you get
charge
paid
for
back.
it.
Me
Yeah.
too. Just subscribe.
Yeah.
Little likes, little follows,
Yeah.
little subscribe.
That's right.
That's all we want.
Yeah.
So this, you got a little taste of today of what you can get in all these different forums from this man and the stuff that's coming forward. So really appreciate you today, brother.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
man.
man.
I'm so glad we
Yeah,
met. Really
likewise,
enjoyed today.
likewise.
All right, God bless everybody. Max out.
Thanks, guys.